Here are 5 signs you've trained the narcissist without realizing. Have you ever encountered a narcissist who seemed so clever and manipulative, and you thought, how can I possibly stay ahead? Despite their reputation for cunning, with the right strategy, you can outmaneuver them every time. But why even bother, you ask? Walking away isn't always an option, and when you're stuck dealing with their behavior, knowing how to manage them effectively is key. You might wonder, why even bother? Why not just walk away? But leaving isn't always an option. It can be incredibly challenging in certain situations. When you have no choice but to endure their behavior, knowing how to manage them effectively becomes crucial. Understanding which strings to pull ensures they don't overpower you. Today, we'll discuss 5 surprising signs that you've learned to manage a narcissist in a way that serves your well-being. If that piques your interest, stick around until the end, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Before diving into the first sign, let me clarify. Managing a narcissist to get them to act in ways that benefit you is not about becoming controlling or adopting their toxic traits. It's about protecting yourself from their abuse and keeping their harmful behavior at bay. Sign number 1. You know how to leverage their emotions to influence them. You've mastered the skill of triggering specific emotional responses to get them to act as you need. For example, if a narcissist is bombarding you with messages, refusing to leave you alone, or continually hoovering despite your attempts to set boundaries, direct resistance only fuels their behavior. They thrive on the challenge. It excites them. So, instead of resisting, you shift your approach. You might say something like, I'm still so stuck on you. It's been hard to move on. I miss you so much. By doing this, you're flipping the narrative. Narcissists often lose interest when they feel they've already won or have unrestricted access to you. It's no longer a chase, and without the thrill, they may leave you alone. Does this work in every situation? Of course not. Success depends on the type of narcissist, their specific triggers, and their behavior patterns. But when applied thoughtfully, it can be effective. Example number 2. Using their obsession with status and image. Let's say the narcissist in your life is fixated on appearances. They want their child to attend a prestigious school or excel in academics and sports. Now, you want your child to go to a particular school. If you propose it outright as your preference, they'll likely resist out of spite. So instead, you frame it differently. You might say something like, Matthew and I were researching schools, and we found this incredible one. The teachers are award-winning, and the school has such an impressive track record. Can you imagine how much it would elevate our child's performance, and what that would mean for us as parents? By tapping into their need for status and playing to their fantasies of grandeur, you make it about their ego rather than a personal battle. When presented this way, they're far more likely to go along with your choice. Example number 3, guiding vacation plans subtly. Imagine you want a vacation at a specific destination, but you know proposing it outright will lead to rejection. Instead, you frame it in a way that appeals to their preferences. You could say, Jana and I were brainstorming vacation spots, and we thought of these options. Then you highlight the merits of your desired location, subtly devaluing the ones you'd rather avoid. Consider what they value in a vacation, whether it's luxury, exclusivity, or status, and align your chosen destination with those qualities. At the same time, downplay other options in ways that steer them away without direct confrontation. Sign number 2. You've learned how to shake their behavior. One effective technique is known as drip supply, which I explain in depth in my signature program, Master Co-Parenting with a Narcissist. If you're interested in learning more, click the eye icon above or follow the link in the description. The concept of drip supply involves offering narcissists emotional validation bit by bit. You can't be constantly available to them. While it's often said to feed the narcissist's ego, doing so continuously will only bore them, as there's nothing left to chase. To maintain their interest, you must give them attention in small doses so they feel the absence and keep coming back for more. For example, let's say you want the narcissist to behave a certain way, and you decide to use drip supply as a strategy. What does that look like? When their behavior is unacceptable, Perhaps they're being abusive or overly demanding. You take away the one thing that matters to them most, your presence. They thrive on having you react, defend yourself, and feel affected by their actions. So, you stop feeding them. How? Through grey rocking, where you respond with minimal words or even just a single word, for example. Yeah, maybe. No. I'll think about it. Oh, okay. Ah, I see. These types of responses make it clear that you're emotionally absent. Physically, you can detach as well. No eye contact, no smile, no acknowledgement of their presence. This is a form of stonewalling, and while you're not just ignoring them randomly, you're intentionally withdrawing. Why does this work? It sends a clear signal to their brain. If I keep behaving like this, I won't get any validation. And true to their nature, they'll start adjusting their behavior to regain that attention. When they act appropriately, that's when you engage with them. You smile, nod, and show openness. This is a form of operant conditioning. It's similar to Pavlov's dog experiment, only reward them with the validation they crave when they act in a way you want them to. Over time, they will learn to modify their behavior to earn that approval. Sign number 3. You know how to use their image to your advantage. Let's say there's a decision you need to make regarding your child, and you know the narcissist will resist any suggestions you make. Instead of directly pushing for what you want, you start by planting the right ideas. The focus is always on the child and their well-being. You subtly imply, without directly saying it, that as a parent, your first priority is always the child's needs. You're not praising them, you're simply stating a universal truth. A parent's responsibility is to put the child first. This is something no narcissist can argue with, and it lays the groundwork for getting them to agree with your ideas. For example, you might suggest something like piano lessons, emphasizing how it would benefit the child's development. When you present this in front of others, whether it's a court or another authority figure, they'll have no choice but to act in a way that aligns with their image as a good, responsible parent, even if it's against their personal desires. You can further reinforce this idea by saying things like, I wonder how this decision would reflect on us as parents. I'm curious what people at your office would think if they heard us talking about this. What do you think your friends would say about this choice? This taps into their fear of shame. They want to be seen in a certain light and will act to protect their image. Sign number 4. You've learned how to find the narcissist's truth. This is about understanding that when a narcissist speaks, what they say is usually far from the truth. If you want to uncover the real situation, you need to believe the opposite of what they claim. For example, if they tell you, you're a terrible person, you're a bad parent, don't feel the need to defend yourself. Instead, you should recognize that they are projecting their insecurities onto you. Yes, absolutely, you keep records of everything, but at the same time, you adopt a different perspective. Clearly, I must be doing something right for them to be so upset. You recognize you're not in the wrong. I know I'm acting in the best interests of their child. I'm helping them grow in a healthy way. That's what's bothering them. Your ability to nurture your bond with their child. You see through their attempt to alienate you, but you won't let them know that you're aware of their manipulation. If you want to understand their tactics, all you have to do is listen to their accusations. Pay attention to what they accuse you of because it's likely something they are guilty of themselves. This is called negative documentation. When they accuse you of something, instead of defending yourself, you take that as a clue. You don't react emotionally, but instead look for evidence that supports their claim, because chances are, whatever they accuse you of is something they've done. Mastering this interaction means you understand how to break through their false narrative. You know how to deconstruct their accusations and turn them into useful information for your benefit. These skills are complex and require significant emotional control. It takes time to reach a point where you can almost manipulate a narcissist, but it's only done for your own protection. Sign number 5. You've empowered your children. If your children are involved, you've taught them how to stand up for themselves. Many professionals in the field of narcissism advise against revealing the truth to your children, claiming that they should remain unaware of the dynamics at play. However, I believe the opposite is true. Eventually, they will realize what's happening, and it's better that they hear it from you. You don't have to tell them outright. Your parent is a narcissist. You don't need to label them. But when your child approaches you with a question or expresses feeling hurt by something their parent did, instead of brushing it off by saying, "They must have been upset or tired. They love you in their own way," you should respond by saying, "How did that make you feel?" Then explain why such behavior is not acceptable. You can use words like punitive, vindictive, manipulative, neglectful, abandoning, selfish. This allows your child to understand the behavior in a healthier context, empowering them to recognize what's happening. This doesn't mean they can always change the situation, but it gives them the tools to process their feelings and take a stand, even if it's only in their minds. How does this help train a narcissist? It's about exposing their behavior without directly confronting them. You're essentially saying, "I see what you're doing, and I'm not going to let it work." The children will recognize your tactics, and they won't fall for them. By doing this, you protect your relationship with your children, even as the narcissist tries to drive a wedge between you. They won't be easily manipulated or swayed by the narcissist's games. I call this an indirect fight, empowering your children while weakening the narcissist's influence over them. That was point number 5, and I hope you found this discussion helpful. If you did, please share your thoughts in the comments. With that, I'll wrap this up. Thanks for listening, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. Until then, let the healing process continue.